This is the 2022 annual report for the LEADER program.
What can we say about people with learning disability who died in England in 2022?
This video has 7 parts. Each part has a different colour. This is what is in each part.
The grey part. Who died in 2022 and how old were they?
The yellow part. What did people with learning disability die of in 2022?
The blue part. How good was the care for people with a learning disability who died?
The green part. Which people with learning disability were more likely to die younger?
The orange part. Could more people with a learning disability have lived longer?
The pink part, COVID-19.
And the heat waves.
The purple part. Autistic people who don't have a learning disability.
First, we're going to have a look at the grey part.
The grey part. Who died in 2022 and how old were they? We heard about 3,648 people with a learning disability who died in 2022. Of each 10 people with a learning disability who died, 6 were men and 4 were women. Of each 10 people with a learning disability, 4 were still alive at the age of 65. Of each 10 people who don't have a learning disability, 9 were still alive at the age of 65. It means that people who have a learning disability don't live as long as people who don't have a learning disability. Men with a learning disability usually died 20 years earlier. Women with a learning disability usually died 23 years earlier. Of each 10 people with a learning disability who died, 6 died in hospital, 3 died at their home, and 1 died somewhere else. Most people we heard about who died were white. We need to learn more about people from minority ethnic backgrounds who died. That is Black people, Asian people, people from mixed backgrounds, other people who are not white.
Now we are going to look at the yellow part.
The yellow part. What did people with learning disability die of in 2022? Of each 100 people with a learning disability who died in 2022, 13 died of health problems that they had all their lives and when they were babies. 11 died of cancer. 8 died of flu and lung infection, pneumonia. 6 died of cerebral palsy and paralysis. 6 died of heart problems. 6 died of COVID-19. The others died of all sorts of other things.
Now We are going to have a look at a blue part.
The blue part. How good was the care for people with a learning disability who died? Most people with a learning disability, 9 out of 10, had some care which was good. This doesn't mean that all their care was good, but at least some of it was good. But some people, 1 out of 10, did not have any good care.
We
spot
spot
the
the
difference.
Last year, 3 out of 10 people did not have any good care. This year, it is 1 out of 10. But it is still one too many. What was good about people's care? Reasonable adjustments help people get good care.
What are reasonable adjustments?
Changes staff can make to help people cope with their care and treatment. For example, more time, a calm place to wait, easy to understand information. Staff working together and working with families help people get good care. What problems were there about people's care? People were waiting too long to get tests and treatment. Doctors and nurses were not doing mental capacity assessment properly.
What is a mental capacity assessment?
A mental capacity assessment is when they check to see what you understand. It is to see if you can help make decisions about your own care and treatment.
Now we are going to have a look at the green part.
The green part. Rich people with learning disability were more likely to die younger. People did not get good care and treatment. For example, they didn't get a COVID vaccine. They were more likely to die younger. People from minority ethnic backgrounds were more likely to die younger. Many white people with learning disability lived longer with people that were black, Asian, or mixed backgrounds. People with epilepsy were more likely to die younger.
Now we are going to have a look at the orange part.
The orange part. Could more people with a learning disability have lived longer? Some people died before their time. Perhaps they could have lived longer if they had got better treatment and support. For example, by treating an infection, managing epilepsy well. Or perhaps they needn't have got ill in the first place. For example, by getting a vaccine, checking for illnesses. This is called avoidable death. It means dying of something that nowadays you shouldn't have died of. Almost half of all the people with a learning disability who died an avoidable death. These are the people with a learning disability who needn't have died. But of all the people without a learning disability who died, less than a quarter died an avoidable death. These are the people without a learning disability who needn't have died. This means that people with a learning disability are twice as likely to die before their time.
Now we are going to have a look at the pink part.
The pink part, COVID-19.
And heat waves.
This is a What the Difference chapter because it's different from last year.
COVID-19. In 2021, lots of people died of COVID. In 2022, fewer people with a learning disability died of COVID. But people with a learning disability were still more likely to die with COVID than people without a learning disability. So we still need to be at the top of the list for vaccines.
Heat waves. Lots of extra people with learning disabilities died in July. We think this was because of a heat wave. This means people with a learning disability need extra protection from the heat.
The last part we are going to look at is the purple part.
The purple part. Autistic people who don't have a learning disability. This is Gary. Gary died. Gary is autistic. Gary does not have a learning disability. Gary's death can now be reported to leaders, even though Gary does not have a learning disability. This is new. All autistic people can now be reported to leader, even if they don't have a learning disability. In 2022, we heard about 110 autistic people who didn't have a learning disability. Most autistic people without a learning disability who died in 2022 were not reported to leader. We need to know more about their deaths so we can learn from it.